Outlaw Law is brought to you by Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Your law firm for life.
Welcome back into the Outlaw Lawyers. Your hosts are Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. And again, the firm, the power behind this program. Josh and Joe, practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. And they have offices conveniently located in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay Varina, Gastonia, and again, in Morehead City, their newest office. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. We go back and forth on the legal topics. And today we're doing most common estate planning mistakes. If you have a legal situation you're facing, listen, you can always call Whitaker and Hamer, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what that call is about, and an attorney will be in touch with you. And you can email your questions to this very show, and we'll answer them on a future broadcast. Questions at theoutlawlawyer.com. So pins and needles, Josh, you're excited about this next one. Most common estate planning mistakes. Recap what we've been through before we get to this next one.
All right. Number 1 was failing to plan. Number 2, not discussing plans with family and friends. Number 3, naming just one beneficiary. We didn't like that one too much. Number 4, forgetting about power of attorney and healthcare representatives. Number 5, forgetting about final arrangements. We're on number 6. And Joseph, I'm just going to throw this one at you. Get your first impression. Forgetting about your digital assets.
Man. Now you're talking. I was sleepwalking through this whole entire show.
Define digital assets.
Well, it's not defined on this list, Morgan.
Yeah, come on.
What I would say,
in your opinion,
I'm thinking Bitcoin right here.
Yeah, well, Bitcoin. There's a lot of different of the coins, man.
Yeah.
I feel like crypto's cooled off a little, right? Like it was super hot there for a while during the whole weird COVID-y lockdown period. And I'm not saying it's still a thing, 100% cryptocurrency is still a thing. But yeah, that's of extreme importance, right? Because it's super secure. It's one of those things where you need to put that's got to be on somebody's radar, right? Like that's something that we will increasingly have to care about dealing with in the modern world.
You're going to have to give your potential heirs some instructions on how to handle your digital assets. They need to know they exist, right? So if you have an account, it seems like they're all going bankrupt, right? But it was a Coinbase's one, right? If you have one of those accounts, then they need to be aware of it, how to get into it. And if you're a super duper Bitcoin guy, you just got the blockchain code. What do you call that? The key?
Yeah. See, look, man, you're putting me on the spot here, and I'm still getting my Bitcoin lawyer certification classes taken.
But yeah, you got, if it's, or it can be physically located on,
it just depends on how you hold it, right? Like, however you hold it, whatever method that you hold it, it is very important that you give detailed instructions, you account for it, you make sure that it's known. And it's just another piece that you include in the pie, as opposed to potentially, like you hear all those horror stories, man, about people when Bitcoin was worth nothing and they were just buying pizzas with it. And then they'd have like 10,000 Bitcoin and they threw it in a landfill and they never found it again. And they'd be like the richest people on earth today. You don't want to be that person.
We got a lot of clients that got paid in Bitcoin, for whatever projects. We got a lot of clients that are holding a lot of value, a lot of digital assets. And so your will covers that, right? The standard will in North Carolina, we talk about personal property and real properties, houses, land, things like that. Personal property is basically everything else. And so digital assets, if you don't mention them specifically, would go along with personal property. So there's no problem there. Your will take care of it. It's just, again, letting people know, 1, it exists, and 2, where to find it, how to get it, how to use it. And so that's something I've seen come up a time or two.
That's super important too. You made that point, and that's the point you can make about not just digital assets, but really any asset. Like you can devise it away all you want, but someone's got to be able to locate it, find it, know that it's a thing, or else your instructions as to it are irrelevant.
I will tell you, I don't know I don't know if my family knows how to get to my very small Bitcoin holdings.
Yeah, I know, man. We got to fix that right now. I don't know that you know how to get to your very small Bitcoin holdings. I think that's a bigger issue, man.
I had to get a new phone and it's fingerprint.
It sounds secure.
I think I got to get back to it. But that's a good one. Forgetting about your digital. And again, a lot of this is going to go back to just making sure the people around you know where things are. Yeah. Obviously, if you and your spouse are on everything together, and you pass away, your spouse is going to know how to do a lot of this. But especially if you're like the last, you're the surviving spouse and you've got children who are not necessarily involved with your day-to-day finances, they need to know where stuff is. And it's not always clear, and digital assets are not clear on purpose, right? And that's part of the advantage of a digital asset. It's not easy to find necessarily. So that was number 6. That was number 6. Number 7. You ready for this one?
I can't wait, man.
This one's not as earth-shattering.
Not as sexy. Not as sexy. Okay.
Please, man. You got to read it in a very sexy voice to make up for that.
And all right, this is estate planning fail number 7 on this rando list that we decided to go over today. Forgetting about charities that are important to you. So, if you're one of those people that have, a church or a Rotary or a charity that you spend a lot of time with, that you support during your life, you don't want to forget about them in your final will or plan. So it's very easy to do. I know, even 5, I see a lot of wills where like 5%, if something goes somewhere, or like a particular rental house goes to some charity or things like that. So I know the charities need that. They need you to think about them if they're important to you. Everybody's got at least one, right? That's important to you.
Everybody's got at least one, man. I think you knocked that one out of the park. I think we're ready for the next one already.
All right, number 8. I don't know where you're going to have to tell me what you think this means. There's no explanation here. This is just a list. So we
didn't write this list.
No.
If we did, it would be
much better.
Every one would be a banger, obviously.
Number 8, not thinking about your children's futures.
I feel like we've covered this one with a previous one. I'm telling you, whoever wrote this list is they're the ones running.
So I'm gonna go back to one thing here. Not thinking about so you could drop dead. We talked about this, Joe. You're going to die.
Yes.
Everybody who's listening to this
got some bad news for you.
Will die.
It's coming
in some fashion,
and you don't know when it's going to be. Like, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Me, Morgan, and Joseph could all die today.
Right now.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't.
God,
but we
could.
Terrible.
That's so
That'd
morbid.
That'd be such a terrible episode.
That'd be really bad radio.
Just ends right here when people
really
are wanting to know the last 5 answers to this list.
But you could pass away before your children are 18. You could pass away when your children are 21. And again, we talked about your movie there. What was that movie?
Which one? Blank Check?
Yeah. We don't. Yeah. It might not be. If you have a lot of assets, you don't want those dumped on maybe an 18-year-old. I know 18-year-old Josh Whitaker wouldn't have made a lot of smart decisions if $1 million in assets had just been dumped on.
If you're like Preston from Blank Check, what you're going to do is you're going to buy a mansion. You're going to eat a lot of pizza. You're going to buy a really cool virtual reality game set, and you're going to have I'm pretty sure he had a slide that went from like in his room, and he could slide out of his room into the pool.
Who doesn't have that though?
Oh man, honestly, that last part sounds.
What year was this movie? What year was this movie?
Blank Check. I want to say 95.
This sounds like Silver Spoons to me. This just sounds like Silver Spoons.
Blank Check is 94.
Okay,
mid-90s,
yeah, 94. Yep.
I was like, I think if I had $1 million in 94, I'd have bought that robot from Rambo. When was that? Which Rambo was the one with the robot?
Rambo with robot.
Oh, that's the one where he went to L.A. and trained.
Is that 3? No.
There's a robot in a Rambo, man?
2. That's 4. That's Drago. That's where he comes back and he beats the Russians.
I'm looking at Rambo with robot. I'm getting nothing.
Oh, not Rambo. Rocky
with robot.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can see how you did it. It's Rocky 4. Rocky 4.
That's the one.
Rambo with robot, though.
I don't think John.
Can I put that in my will? I want that movie made.
We got to get back on the artificial intelligence train and make that movie.
Yeah, man.
Have a little Rambo intro. I like that.
So
Rambo meets Terminator.
Blank Check has an A- out of the A to F scale on the Cinema Score audience polling. So.
What about Rotten Tomatoes? What's it got on Rotten Tomatoes? That's my kids. My kids only want to know.
It's only got 11 reviews, man. So it's at a 9%. It says so it's a movie about a kid, right? That's supposed to be 12.
And Joe, you're 4 of the 11 reviews,
and this is how dated it is, man. There's a scene where the 12-year-old boy gets a kiss from the 31-year-old woman who's like the investigator in the movie.
Oh, you can't do that.
You can't do that, man. So I forgot about that until I read this Wikipedia article. So I want to rescind my recommendation of the movie.
Are we talking about a kiss on the cheek, or are we talking about a kiss?
I think she kisses. I don't think it's like a long, drawn out kiss, but I think she kisses him, man.
I don't want you to get the firm canceled.
That's
over something
creepy.
like that.
I didn't direct Blank Check, bro. That's Rupert Wainwright.
All right, not thinking about your children's future. So that means getting them stuff, making sure if they need guidance, maybe there's a trustee of a trust that helps them get things along and they don't get $1 million or $2 million poured on them at the young, tender age of 18. So that would be taking care for not forgetting about your children's future. That takes us to number 9, nueve on this list, getting too specific. So getting too specific. And so what I'm going to do, we're up against a break. You guys marinate on getting too specific. We'll talk about it when we get back.
All right. The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, where you can find them managing partners there, practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. Offices conveniently located in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and now in Morehead City. And we're going to come back right after the break. If you've got a legal situation you're facing, you got some questions you need answers to, you can always call the firm, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what the call's about, and an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. And as always, you can email your questions to the show, questions@theoutlawlawyer.com. We're back right after this.